Good morning, Nigeria. I like to say that TVC has a finger on the pulse and our eyes on the streets. And we do our best on a daily basis to bring you trending stories from across the globe and indeed Nigeria in order to have some productive dialogue about the stories that are shaping the world that we live in. We begin this segment in Ondo State, where in a decisive move to tackle the surge in violent crimes, the Ondo State Executive Council has ratified the death penalty by hanging for anyone that's convicted of kidnapping, marking one of the most stringent crackdowns on abductions. Now, the Attorney General and Commissioner for Justice, Kayode Ajulo, announced this decision while addressing journalists after the State Executive Council meeting presided over by Lucky Aiyedatiwa, Governor of Ondo State. Now, Ondo, like several other states in Nigeria's southwest and central regions, has grappled with a wave of kidnappings, many of which have ended in fatalities or the payment of extremely exorbitant ransoms. Victims have been listed to include commuters, farmers, school children, and even monarchs, leaving communities on edge and law enforcement overstretched. Ajulo says that kidnapping and cultism now pose a grave threat to public order and that tougher penalties are needed to deter perpetrators and restore confidence in the justice system. This story was very interesting because everybody was chiming in. It seems that kidnapping has touched us all of us in one way or the other. We've either heard stories about this or we've witnessed this online. I think that the image that we have of kidnappers as these dark veiled hooded men is no longer the case. Kidnappers are everyday men who happen to be hungry and desperate enough to kidnap people. This is very interesting. We're seeing a nationwide trend of a shift back to capital punishment. Let's take a look at social media. Admeze Abia says, what sentence goes to those caught in the act of stealing and embezzling public resources? Ajayi says, this initiative is a very welcome one. It should be adopted across the country because every life matters. This should be extended to other vices too. It's only Nigeria that can make herself better. There should be no long trials and there should be no sacred cows. We'll take one more tweet. Chokodu says, that's a valid point, but the same scrutiny should apply to any politician or lawmaker who violates their oath of office for personal gain. We must focus on the issue at hand. Moving on. A video of a retired superintendent of police has raised concerns over the welfare and the treatment of Nigerian security personnel after he described his 2 million naira retirement benefit as a national disgrace. In a video that's making the rounds online, the officer who retired on the 1st of October 2023 disclosed that he was recently informed by the Police Pension Board that 3 million naira had been approved as his total entitlement after almost 30 years of service. He called this figure an insult, saying it failed to reflect his 35 years of service to the nation, during which he risked his life and sacrificed family time for duty. Take a look.
Just 2 weeks back, they called me that they are going to pay me 3 million naira. What for? They say that is my pension. I am not collecting that money. I am not going to collect that money. Let my service be in vain. Wasted all my years thinking that I'll take something home after retirement. All the police will do is to give me 2 million naira. What a shame. And I said, I serve my father's land. I serve my country wholeheartedly. Then my benefit will be 2 million naira. Please, I want the whole world to hear this.
Now, unfortunately, his story is not unique. The Nigerian police force has long struggled with delayed and inadequate pension payments, despite operating under the contributory pension scheme. Many retired officers have reported receiving peanuts or sometimes nothing at all for months or even years after their retirement. He's now calling on the federal government to overhaul the system, urging it to honor the sacrifices made by men and women in uniform who spent decades serving our country, only to be abandoned at the finish line. decades of service. I want to put that into context. Almost 40 years of service in his case. Let's take a look at social media. We do have a very embattled relationship with the Nigerian police, and so there are people who are not feeling bad for him. Someone says, that's even a senior officer. Now think about those constables and corporals that are usually deployed to kill protesters. The highest rank those ones can attain is the inspector, and they will cry before they see 1 million naira pension. At Ola Capital says, we need to be clear before jumping to a conclusion. If the man had served for 35 years, it means he was covered by both the old pension and the new contributory pension schemes. His gratuity at the point of exit from the service can never be 2 million. Something is wrong somewhere. Well, that's his story. And finally, Andy says, you collected the balance on the road from Nigerians. Very interesting. But moving on, and I would love my team to focus on this story. A legal storm is brewing in the family of late Oyo State Governor Otumba Christopher Adebayo Alao Akala, as his first daughter, Mrs. Oluwatoyin Alao Aderinto, has allegedly approached an Oyo State High Court in Ibadan, seeking a DNA test on several individuals who claim to be the biological children of the deceased. Now, in an application that has generated a lot of conversation, Mrs. Alao Aderinto is also allegedly requesting the exhumation of the former governor's remains, currently interned in a mausoleum at his Ogbomosho country home, in order to obtain the necessary samples for testing. The suit was filed at the State High Court on Ring Road and names herself and 6 others, one of whom is a serving member of the House of Representatives, as subjects of this DNA verification. She's urging the court to ensure that the test be carried out at a court-approved and accredited laboratory, with the results submitted under seal directly to the presiding judge for a formal declaration in open court. Of course, this peculiar request that she's making marks a dramatic turn in an already strained and prolonged family feud over the late governor's extensive estate, which has remained in a state since his death in 2022. His daughter is maintaining that all she wants is just judicial clarity, but through scientific proof. I think that in a culture, a Nigerian culture and Yoruba culture, our ancestors are very, very sacred. And so to exhume his body for the purpose of material gain, I don't know if we need that sort of clarity. But let's take a look at social media. Let's see what people had to say. Nation Builder says, a man should learn to put his house in order while alive to avoid things like this, so that his body at least can rest in peace. Did the late ex-governor not have a will or testament? Lanre Ray says, their father looted the state treasury and still they are not satisfied with what he left for them. Greediness 10.5. And finally, Johnson says, the house of wealth is full of trouble. Very poetic. Team, what do you guys think about this? Is this scientifically valuable, or should we let the dead rest no matter what? She wants to exhume his body and collect DNA samples.
Well, for the, the lady to go as far as asking for DNA of everybody that says, Allah Kala is my dad, shows that there's some kind of problem at home. You know, there's serious problems at home. Too many people are showing up. I don't know if he was polygamous, but it obviously shows that he has children outside, you know. But the exhumation of his corpse, that's a little bit extreme if you ask me, you know, because I know that records available must have 1 or 2 samples of the man's DNA. For small pensions for policemen, I think that is a case where the Police Service Commission has to really look at it, because the complaints are getting louder and louder, and the pension figures are getting smaller and smaller. Ondo State wants a death penalty for kidnapping. Personally, I think all the states in Nigeria should adopt that, make kidnapping a crime that's punishable by death. That will serve as a deterrent, not only in Ondo State and the few other states that have ratified that. It should be something that all the states in Nigeria adopt.
Beautiful. Alamide, I'm really happy you brought this particular story about the DNA, because I saw it on social media yesterday and I'm like, my girl will definitely bring it on the table. But what I want to say about this is, and I'm sure all the men on the table will agree with me, polygamy is not the best. Because at the end of the day, when you go, there's always fights and there's always disputes. But now my problem is, didn't he have a will? I'm not really agreeing with what the daughter is doing, but imagine somebody coming out and saying, a lot of people coming out and saying that your father is their father. You know, at some point you would just want to take action like, okay, let the truth be told. But then again, to bring out demands, I do not really agree with that. But it just stamps to us to understand that polygamy is not the best. And the men on the table, we all agree, right?
I disagree.
Why
Okay, I know you disagree.
Why? I mean, if you can handle 3, go ahead.
Oh my God. Okay, let's move on, please. Thank you. All right, now I want to go to the police officer. It's really sad to see that this is the pension he's getting. 35 years serving the country with just, is it 2 to 3 million naira? This is really bad, and I feel like, you know, the government should really look into it. Talking about kidnapping, I agree, that should be done. People do not understand what kidnapping does, the emotional and mental health it does to people. Some people never recover from it. So if the penalty is that, then so be it.
Well, on the DNA thing, this is not the first time we're having families fight over property. When you have wealth, that is what the problem is. I remember watching this play, Cat on the hot tin roof and so on. How the whole family, before the man died, they started fighting over who would take over from him and all of that. We had it with Abiola a few years ago when people were saying they needed DNA in order to get to the truth. So the poet Senghor said, "Oh, dead, who have always refused to die." You know, that is what is happening. It's haunting them. There's nothing we can do about it. If they need to get closure by taking him from the ground and taking him back, well, a resolution is a resolution. It has nothing to do with polygamy. If it's only one family, there have been big families where they have only one wife and one man, and there's plenty of trouble. You know, so it has to do with money. It is money, money, money. That is what it is. On the issue of the policeman, it's amazing. It's like, okay, shall I take it or shall I not take? And shall I take it or not take? It's also about, shall I take bribe or shall I not take bribe? Because shall I take bribe? If I take bribe, I probably will prepare myself for a 3 million naira retirement and not take it. Or if I don't take bribe, I will be poor and then not be able to take the 3 million because of pride. But in either case, it is a no-no. Yeah. And it's a no-no because we have to make sure that our security people are put in a state where they are not tempted. So this is a very tempting situation for the police officers, because you are saying, I'm going to spend 3 million naira after retiring at the age of what, 60 or 65, and then the rest of my life, before I get out of the door, the money is finished.
It's all gone. It's all finished.
Absolutely.
What's the third one again?
The kidnapping. So if
some states have started it. Edo has done it. Katsina has done it. And the point is not so much to get all of these death penalties. It's to make sure that we get our security situation right, so that they don't occur in the first place. Because some of them don't think about consequences. So that's one of these. They believe that they can always get through. That's the optimism of the criminal. That I will always get over it. Because you have it in Katsina, we still have criminals going about in Katsina and Edo. You still have it.
I agree with you, because sometimes they will say, yes, we already have the death penalty, but who is there to now sign the death warrant? Because we have a lot of our governors who say, yes, we're going to put you to death. The court will sentence them to death, but no one, they will say, he who has no sin should be the first to cast the stone. I guess I get the point correctly. So we should work on our security architecture so that we'll be able to fight these people, head on. The second one, which has to do with the police, it's so sad when we criticize them, because while they're in service, we criticize them, we abuse them, we fight them. We know there are very good heads among them and bad eggs among them as well. But when we have people who serve their country diligently, who did so well, and they have nothing to take home. Yeah, someone is talking about gratuity. Yes, that is one on the other side. What about your pension? I think it should be criminal offense when pension is not really taken care of. Why do we have PENCOM? Why do we have, all of these schemes there for people to retire to? We think of a country that is beneficial. Do not think of what you give to your country, but what your country is going. I mean, do not think of what your country is going to do to you or give to you. Think of what you give to your country. And when you give your all and you're not getting anything back, it's so sad.
When the country is not thinking of what it's going to give to you, what will you think of what you're going to give to the country?
so it's very dicey. So we can't justify those who are getting themselves settled on the roads. Stealing people,
we shouldn't
collecting
encourage
bribes.
that as well.
Yeah, so the government should pay their own.
I remember being younger, sorry to go to the capital punishment. I remember being younger and watching as the Nigerian government opened fire on criminals.
Yes.
I remember that very vividly as a part of my childhood.
Military
and it seems that all that we're seeing these days
they take
is
them
policy.
to gallows, tie them to the drum, and then the firing.
Even in Ghana, it's happened before. JJ Rollins did it in
Talk about
Ghana.
a deterrent.
When we were growing up, we used to have all the Barbie show.
Yeah.
But we had the Barbie show when we had the Yenusi.
Yeah.
It's part of the Barbie show, we had the Yenusi.
Yes.
Thank you, Tim, for your submission.
The important thing is to take care of the security architecture.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go.
Thank you so much. Moving on in the world of sports, Nigerian sprint sensation Favour Ofili has reportedly switched international allegiance to Turkey, citing persistent neglect and administrative failings by the Athletics Federation of Nigeria as a breaking point in her relationship with the country's athletic authorities. Now, according to reports, the 22-year-old sprinter officially informed the Athletics Integrity Unit of her decision on the 31st of May this year. Sources close to the athlete are maintaining that the move was not financially motivated, but born out of deep-seated dissatisfaction with how her career has been mismanaged over the years. Now, she's one of Nigeria's most promising athletes, but unfortunately has had a history of clashes with the federation's inefficiency. She was one of the first Nigerian athletes that were disqualified from the Tokyo 2020 Olympics due to Nigeria's failure to comply with mandatory anti-doping testing protocols. This incident brought global embarrassment and led to a scathing indictment of the Nigerian Sports Administration. The final straw, according to reports, came at the Paris 2024 Olympics, where she was excluded from the 100-meter event, allegedly due to another administrative error. While she competed in the 200-meter and finished 6th in the final, the snub from her preferred event left her deeply disillusioned, according to reports. Although the Ministry of Sports reportedly set up an investigative panel to address the Paris blunder, recommendations that Ofili be compensated with $5,000 and issued a formal apology were apparently never implemented. As of press time, the AFN has not commented on the reports of her switch to Turkey. This is a consequence we are seeing when institutions fail us. We lose out on talent, we lose out on representatives of the Nigerian nation when we fail them in this way. Let's take a look at social media very quickly. Mafia Boss says, Nigerians are the only people who truly love their country but continue to feel incapacitated by their country. Good decision, Ofili. Nigeria is unserious. You deserve better. And Yojora says, they did not register an athlete for Olympics that she qualified for, not once but twice. And some of you are angry that she switched countries. Some of you are unbelievable. Team, this is very, very interesting. We've spoken about the medical brain drain, but it's just not in medicine. It's in the world of sports. It's in all our fields. When we don't take care of their talents, they go to other countries. And then when they break world records, we come and say, wow, Nigerian-born Anthony Joshua.
Favour Ofili to Turkey, it's not a very sweet taste in the mouth, but when the system has failed you, the tendency of you taking such decisions is very high. And athletics, running that she does, is an individual sport, so she's thinking of her career. That's it.
All right, and they say a prophet is not respected in their home. I just hope that, this is a lesson to us, because this is a bad taste for us to see that she has left, and she has said that, she's living under these kind of bad conditions. It's really a bad one, and I hope that, we can do better with that. Quickly, Uncle Sam.
Maybe Turkey tastes sweeter than well, it is fidelity to the self and not to country. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to some of these athletes whether you are a national or you're not a national, so long as you get your career. Yeah. But Nigeria still flows in his blood. She can't speak Turkey language.
Exactly.
She cannot. And she cannot feel at home in Turkey as she feels in Nigeria. Okay. So when we say it's Nigerian born who finds who finds that his talent
know, right?
is born somewhere
Quickly,
else.
Ibrahim.
Yeah,
Well,
it's just very important because when you mentioned Turkey, and thank God you mentioned Turkey, because the country said we are no longer Turkey, we are Turkey, so don't call us Turkey. So it's okay that she's decided to move, because one thing is, if your country is not taking good care of you, if they're not doing the right thing, I think it's a slap on our face, and we need to begin to think how we're losing our own good hands, our own best hands, and how to retain them.
Amazing. What a beautiful day it has been. Let's let you know that the views and reaction of all our resource persons are theirs and have no connection with TVC. It's been a beautiful morning. Because your view is very important to us, up next is The View with your ladies, and just after that is This Morning with Yori Folayin. My name is Ria Abdullah. Catch you bright and early tomorrow morning.